Senator Telo Taitague joins us. Good morning, Senator.
Good morning, Chris, KUAM family, and good morning, Guam. It's the Thursday.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Thursday. I thought it was Friday. It's not, though. Let's just get right into it, Senator. I know that I feel like it was either you or Senator Joanne that I had on last time. We were talking about this knucklehead bill from Senator Joseph Augustine that's randomly. This is a weird one. It was specifically to raise the compensation for GURA board members, and it was raising it from, I believe, like $50 to $250 a meeting. Am I correct?
Meeting, yeah, or $500 a month, or $6,000 a year.
Yeah.
To sit on that board as compensation, which is ironic. I mean, that's a 400% increase. I brought this up during session. Senator Joanne and I both stood up discussing how this bill it's going to basically start a domino effect.
Yeah.
And show other boards and commissions that basically you're not worth the 250. Only GURA is. You're not that important. I mean, how many people do you know would sit on a parole board? I mean, that alone is a board that's, I'm sorry, I don't have the courage to sit on something like that, or other boards that meet, like the ABC board, that meet almost twice a month regularly and go over so many documents, to review documents on applications. There's just so many boards that are all important boards. Yeah. And if you're going to increase the stipends for them, you're taking away public service. You're taking away the fact that people are serving their community in a capacity that they can contribute to making Guam a better place.
Did he have like a party on the board or something? Because it just seemed weird that.
Does he have a party on the board? Yeah, that makes you think. When something like this comes up, you have to okay, what's connection?
Really going on here? So what happened with the bill, though?
Well, actually, it was on the floor. It was, like I said, Senator Brown and myself, we stood up and spoke about this bill. I think we were the only ones that did, except, St. Augustine saying, oh, let's just put it on the board, put it on the floor and vote. But he ended up pulling the bill. I think he realized at that point, he doesn't have enough support for this bill to even garner, other than his vote, one other vote. So it was pulled, which I was happy was pulled. So
how does that work, Senator? I mean, with because obviously I think, personalities definitely play a part in the politics down at the legislature, right? So when you have, a senator like Senator Joseph Augustine, who comes out with a bill and people just don't agree with it, whatever, maybe you shred it on the legislative floor. But what I'm wondering is if you have a bill in, let's say Senator Joseph Augustine's committee.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Does that mean there's payback because I get different senators on and they'll talk about, oh, so-and-so's locked my bill up in committee. So I'm just wondering, when you do something like speak out against a colleague's bill, and then you also have a bill in their committee, is there any payback that happens?
There is, unfortunately, that's the way I see it. I mean, I'm very conscious of what's going on in the legislature. And it's unfortunately that games are being played in the legislature. It's like you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. And of course, the little clique group. And in the 35th, it was the mean girls. Now it's just a little clique that's going on. If this person says no, then everybody has to say no in that group, which is unfortunate, very unfortunate. And if we do speak up about it, I have that bill that I introduced, Bill 282, that's in Senator St. Augustine's committee.
This is the bill. So this bill, guys, I kind of talked about this on my Instagram yesterday. So what the senators did, because they weren't getting any information from the administration about the spending of ARP funds, and that, could be because the governor has the sole authority and discretion to use these monies. And I mean, she could have provided the information, but for whatever reason, it wasn't provided. So the senators, they put a little thing in the budget bill that required the administration to report monthly their ARP expenditures, and then the budget bill became law, and then that became law. But the reporting requirements maybe not as stringent as the legislature might have wanted, or the administration is just applying the bare minimum and adhering to the law. Because I was talking with somebody yesterday. It's like, you guys didn't need to pass a law, right? All of this could have been done, willingly, right? The providing, the sharing of the information. But now you're going back and you've got this bill, which, I mean, some might say you guys should have done it right the first time, but it is what it is, right? So you've got this bill that's adding more teeth and more reporting requirements for ARP and infrastructure funds.
Right. Well, first, the budget bill didn't incorporate infrastructure funds that are coming in, which is about $198 million additional coming in. And that wasn't included in the budget bill because, of course, that was just recently passed.
Right, yeah.
It is an election year,
Wait, it's an election year, sir?
Well, you can start seeing it's an election
year.
Oh,
it's election. Oh, yeah, it is election year. Oh, I had no idea.
Now, finally, we're getting some road repairs. We're finally getting some information. We're lifting certain restrictions that really don't need to. Of course it is. It's unfortunate too. And then this ARP funding that was given to us since last year, which should have been given to the people of Guam, assisting the people of Guam, not only just in subsidies for their rental, the food stamp that's coming in, additional funding, but we're talking about workforce development. Training courses to rebuild our economy in a different perspective other than tourism, grow in that area. And it's not being done. But this bill, going back to the bill that was introduced a couple weeks ago, more than a couple weeks ago, is now in Senator Augustyn's committee, and that will incorporate ARP funding and infrastructure funding, and how are you spending this money? How are you itemizing it? If you're going to give it to the Department of Women's Bureau, which is one of the areas that
the Bureau of Women's Affairs.
What are you spending it on? Right, yeah. What exactly at the Women's Bureau are you spending, umpteen amount of money there? And there's nothing indicating. And it's so important because when we go into the budget bill, we need to know where this money is being placed in that department and agency, so that when we fork out, on the general fund money, that's already been applied to, and so it's very instrumental, this information, for us as we go into the budget. And I'm sorry, but only certain senators that are privy to, what the plan is. That's ridiculous. The people of Guam need to know what the plan is so they can stand behind it, and rally with what needs to be done and work with it. So it's just unfortunate, that the games in the legislature amongst some certain senators. For an example, my bill that that was on the floor, it passed, thank goodness, with 9 votes. It passed.
Wait, which one is this, Senator?
The adoption bill
Okay.
that actually, it's very simple. If a company is coming on this island that wants to open up an adoption agency, they've got to go to, before they get their license or business license, they have to go to public health to get clearance from public health. I mean, it's just like anything you get when you're opening a business. You've got to go to fire, you go to DPW, you got to go all these regulatory agencies and clear it off.
Yeah.
Well, something as important as our children, of course, you need to go to public health to get clearance there, and then you can go to Rev and Tax and get your EIN number or your business license. Yeah. It's a very simple bill. I mean, even public health and even not only in public health, but also Rev and Tax all supported it.
Wow.
But because it was my bill and a certain senator who was been up in arms since my adoption bill, pointing out the fact that you're putting the cart before the carabao on legislation for adoption, doesn't like it. So you had 3 people voting no on this bill. 3. Why? I asked. And of course, I heard one person's explanation on why that senator voted no, which was ridiculous because it was total conflict of interest. But whatever excuse they make, it wasn't made for the best interest of the people of Guam. I mean, why would you vote no on something like that?
Yeah, it's
Because
interesting. I
they
mean,
play
and the
games.
timeline on this, Senator, is that they're all of this stuff with adoption and public health was nothing until this off-island Hawaii adoption company. It's a
Right.
private business. They're a private business. Came here and made buddies with Senator Amanda Shelton, Senator Mary Torres, Vice Speaker Tina Munia Barnes, and they basically got bills introduced that totally favor them. And then
Well,
so
Chris,
when the senators like Senator Tello tried to go back and put in rules and regulations, like we should have in place, that's where it got a little heated. Is what you're saying?
yeah, and then look what's happening right now with adoptions. I mean, we're a society that's always been one to take care of each other. When you know girls or kids get in trouble, the family always steps up to take care of that child and keeping the child within the family. So it's not something that was, desperately needed. I'm sorry, I sound so passionate about this, and I know I come off sounding a little like, complaining a lot, but I think it's the only way for the people of Guam. If I don't speak up and provide this information to the people of Guam, they're not seeing what's really going on. And I highly recommend that you go onto YouTube, because these sessions are recorded. These public hearings are all recorded. Don't take my word for it. Watch for yourself. And the people of Guam are smart enough to see what's going on. So look at that. But when it comes to adoption, I mean, you're going to get some crazy things happening. Like, did you see that latest thing on Facebook from Dr. Shea? He puts on his Facebook page. I don't know if you've seen this, Chris. I'm sorry I didn't bring it up, but that just shows you how it's so important we're careful about how we move in the direction of these adoption agencies coming to Guam, because this is the beginning of human trafficking.
Yeah.
Everybody out there, just Google Marshall Islands human trafficking, and you'll find out what happened in that island. But Dr. Shea puts on March 20th, he puts on his site, I'm currently not accepting new patients, but if you choose life and then adoption in parentheses over abortion, I will accept you and deliver your baby for free. We have a list of patients who are willing to adopt and provide your baby with loving family. Thank you for your consideration. Oh my goodness, did you see this? I mean,
What are they getting ahead? You know what I mean?
Gosh. Well,
Wow.
what is he doing? He has a list of parents. I mean, there's a process.
Yeah.
This was, I hope somebody's sending this, I think somebody did, to the Guam Board of Medical Examiners on Dr. Shea. Advertising something like this, we'll do it for free, but I'm not accepting any clinics, only if you give me your baby. So I can give it to some families.
I mean, if you guys follow the session, and the Senator Telo said, don't take her word for it, watch the session. You can take my word for it, and that's exactly what I feel happened. Is that we had this off-island adoption company come, and certain senators who routinely support special interest legislation fell over themselves, trying to welcome this adoption company, and now that's what happened. Is they got a sweetheart deal with special interest legislation from those special interest senators. And now here we are after the fact with the Senator Tello and several of our other colleagues are trying to basically clean up the mess that Senator Amanda, Senator Mary Torres, and the Vice Speaker made. Senator Tello, I know that I wanted to ask you and talk about this COLA bill that you have.
Absolutely. It's the second part of the two series of bills that I introduced on COLA. Of course, the first one was introduced to codify the $2,000 of cost of living allowance that's always been given to our retirees since 2014. And the second phase of the COLA program that I'd like to put through it's called the cost of living adjustment, very similar to what the federal government is doing right now. And, inflation is going up, the cost of living is going up, and everyone is just on a fixed income. So basically in a nutshell, it provides a cost of living adjustment, acronym still COLA, C-O-L-A, but it's done in a a responsible manner, and through a group of individuals, economists, as well as Department of Labor, as well as not rev and tax, but retirement, coming together and assessing this through a price index and using a inflation calculator, similar like the U.S. Department of Statistics and Plans, and similar to the way the federal government has done for their employees, to assess what is the true cost of living. But we're using the $40,000 threshold. Anything from $40,000 and below receives this adjustment. Flat rate adjustment, while going further up, anybody who's a retiree receives more than $40,001 all the way up to $100,000. Believe it, there's quite a bit of people in the retirement receiving annuities above $100,000, but that will be done in a sliding scale. We took the same example of what Alaska is doing. Alaska has done the same thing, but the caveat here is that this adjustment is done for those retirees who live on Guam, who stay here, because every dollar that's given out, the tax base actually yields about $1.30. So the money is staying here in Guam. And there are quite a bit of retirees who left the island and moved away. So what we're doing is addressing that situation with those who have been on a fixed income, creating a task force not task force, but a group of individuals to determine that.
Don't say task force.
I don't want to say task force, no.
Senator,
yes.
so this adjustment, would this be something where you adjust the COLA and then it just stays at that level moving forward?
No, it's adjusted every year. It's reviewed every year.
Wow.
I mean, that's the same, like I said, it's the same scenario that the federal government does to their employees.
Right on.
It's adjusted every year.
So how does this is different than there was another COLA bill, I thought, from Senator Shelton that just gave it was a freebie $500.
Well, it's like $100 a year or something like that, or for the next 2 years. Additional, but there's no justification in it. Yeah. It's just random. Even the $2,000 that was given to retirees 8 years ago was random as well. There was no justification as to why. And what's important is that, these are going to our government of Guam employees, and the money is coming from not just government of Guam employees, but it's coming from the private sector. Yeah. They contribute to the general fund, which pays out these retirees their annuities. So it needs to be justified, most especially by our private sector who pays taxes. And that, once upon a time, the DB plan for the retirement was what enticed people to come and work for the government of Guam. We were getting a lot of people coming from off island wanting to work for government of Guam because of such a great, retirement plan. Yeah. But we all knew that was driving us into, debt, big time, bankruptcy. It bankrupt CNMI. And now we are coming to something more of a, 401k type of process. And it's not as, enticing anymore in the retirement. But
they find many other ways to make it employment of the government of Guam enticing, Senator. Can we? I'm sorry, because I got Senator Sabina standing by, but I wanted to close with the public health emergency, because I know that you. There was a story because the Progressive Democrats, remember, they come out, they said, "Oh, thank you so much, Telo, for pulling your support of the resolution," which you didn't even do. And then you had come out with a response, but I know that your concern with ending the public health emergency was relative to the emergency SNAP benefits. So I wanted to ask, because we did ask the governor. They had a similar situation in Hawaii, and the Hawaii governor, Governor Ige, what he did was he called off, I guess, certain parts of the public health emergency, but then left other aspects of it still up and running so that it preserved like the emergency SNAP. But when we asked the governor if she would do that, she said her response was, "Why should I?"
Oh, so I didn't hear. Oh my gosh.
Well, she said, "Why should she do that?" Let me give you the whole answer, Senator, to be fair. She said, "Why should I do that when I could just leave the public health emergency declaration that's currently in place in place?"
Well, I think she should start listening to the people of Guam, which she hasn't been doing lately. People try to, have meetings with her to get some answers. A lot of those people came to testify during the public hearing, just wanted answers, and they're not being given it. They're not given the time of day. And this is who she works for. She works for the people of Guam, just like I do. We're public servants to the people of Guam, so we need to hear them. But it's, we're doing, I don't know where Julian Jameson gets off speaking for me, but I'm pretty sure they're all going to get brownie points, to try and make any Republican look bad, and try and take us down, or, who's ever not in the in group, they'll try and make us look like we are not doing our job. And in reality, this Julian Jameson or progressive
Jansen.
Democrats.
Julian Jansen. Yeah.
Oh, excuse me. See, I don't even know his last name correctly.
So the progressive Democrats.
He doesn't speak for me.
Okay.
He doesn't speak for me at all.
Right, yeah.
That's not the case. It's the opportunity for us to sit down together, talk about an exit plan. We can take this resolution, make some amendments to it to ensure that we don't lose federal funding. And as far as FEMA is concerned, that's another area we have to be concerned about because of the traveling nurses. But in the end result, whatever we spend from any ARP funding, COVID or FEMA money that's coming in, we need to spend it correctly. It needs to be transparent, because the last thing we want to do is end up having to reimburse, certain federal funds because we're not spending it correctly. And we have to be very careful. But at the end, it's an exit plan that needs to be amended. I don't know what happened to the recovery task force. I mean, where are they? There is no sign coming into how are we going to move into a new norm, because it's going to have to be a new norm after something like this, a pandemic. People realize that something can happen like this again. So we need to be prepared. And I don't see anybody working in that direction right now.
Okay. So yeah, looking forward to the debate on the floor. So in your response to the progressive Democrats, you said that you were still studying the resolution, and you were eagerly awaiting the discussion on the floor. Have you moved any closer towards leaning one way or another yet, Senator?
At this point, I've been dissecting the Organic Act of Guam as well as Chapter 19 in the public health to determine there are other options that can be taken. You did mention the one about Hawaii, the governor in Hawaii, to maintaining it. And as long as we don't jeopardize certain funds, because that's 2.3 million. And during the public hearing or before the public hearing on the resolution, I did some work and I found the documents that showed every month how public health submits a form, and along with that form is the accompaniment of the executive order showing we're still in a state of emergency, which is required. So if you listen to the almost 4 hour public hearing on that, you'll hear most especially Test Archangel, who oversees the SNAP program. It gives examples as to what's going to happen and transpire. But then again, there are options that we can use into a type of an emergency where we can still maintain it and then allow us to go back to what's called a new norm. But I think most especially an exit plan is needed. I just hope the governor this time calls us up and not one of those come to my office, sit down, tell me what you want, how you want to spend this ARP funding, and then we put all this plan together and effort on our ideas and how to spend it, and then she go, okay, thank you, goodbye. Remember that?
I'll call you.
I'll call you later, and I'm like, wait, what's going to happen? And I mean,
Senator, though, do you understand the gravity of this resolution? From the governor's perspective, she says it's totally dangerous, and that senators are jeopardizing the lives of the people of Guam. So when the governor says those kind of things, does it change the vibe of this upcoming session for you? Do you feel like you guys are making big decisions that, like the governor said, could jeopardize our lives?
I think there's a lot of information out there that needs to be, not just on our perspective, on our research, but hearing the people of Guam and what direction they want to go to is most and foremost important. I mean, we're the voice of the people. We have to hear what they say. And I think that when we come to this resolution on the session floor, a lot of things are going to be hashed out. I'd like to hear what other senators have to say with how to move this forward, but I think we're going to do it in a responsible way. And I don't think that we have any intentions of losing any federal funding at all. We can still do this. I mean, 30 other states already are out of a state of emergency and moving into that direction. It makes you wonder, if we do get out of the state of emergency, is our economy gonna, start boosting up again? Are we gonna start seeing revenue being generated? Well, right now we have that option to work on a new workforce development with regards to, going in a different direction other than tourism to build our economy. And this is her opportunity to do that, and that's not being done.
Hey, when is the State of the Island address? Well, let me ask the speaker.
I'm not sure. They usually decide on their own, or is it by law that they have to do one?
I thought they have to do it by like a certain date, or.
It's a good question.
Okay.
I'll have to find out.
Let me find out too. Senator, thank you so much for your time, and we're very excited for this discussion on Resolution 291.
Yeah, I think everyone should be. And please, I encourage everyone to look at the public hearings. It's all recorded when you get home from work. I know that's probably the last thing you want to look at, but
no way, that's entertaining. I'm telling you guys, this session coming up, it's going to be more entertaining than whatever shows you're watching, unless it's American Song Contest on NBC.
Well, it has to do with everybody who lives on this island.
Yeah,
you have to take a notice to what's going on, because you're living here, and it's the future for yourself as well as for your children.
I just hope that we have a good, healthy debate on it. And, right now it kind of seems like both sides, maybe a little bit of all or nothing. And I think once that first compromise comes through, hopefully things will move smoothly after that. Senator, thank you. I got to run.
Yeah, everyone, create a great day. Be safe out there. Okay.
Right
Bye-bye.
on. Yes. Good morning, guys. 7:38. Here's what happened last night, or late yesterday afternoon. The Public Health has certified the CDC's designation. Can we pop that up? Let me read this. We're going to Senator Sabina Perez next, Democrat. She's the chair of the procurement. And she's got a bunch of different things to talk about. And I also wanted to ask her about procurement in the public health state of emergency. And are we able yet, or does she think we're able to move on with the stale, balale, regular procurement? Right? Nobody wants to do that. Everyone got used to fast tracking this whole emergency thing, so they could get all the things that they need. So we'll ask Senator. But in the meantime, let me go ahead and read you